Hi there, this is Chris. And this video today is to share some information on the repair and restoration that I've been working on this Ludwig Super Classic snare. I'm doing this video for a couple reasons. One is I haven't found a whole lot of information on the Super Classic snare out on the internet, and I'm hopeful that sharing information on the drum is helpful for those that either have one or looking for one, or doing some work on one themselves. And two, this snare had some damage that I attempted to repair. Some things were successful, some things not as successful as I hoped, but I just wanted to share a little bit of what I did on the drum, what I think worked, and maybe highlight some things what not to do if you find yourself in a similar situation. As for the drum itself, my understanding is it's an early 1960s Super Classic. There's no date stamp inside. Otherwise, we have a no serial number Chicago Keystone badge. We've got a P87 Classic style throw-off, coincidentally with the numbers 4/61 written inside of it. Not sure if that's a reference to the date or not. 8 bow tie lugs, what I believe to be chrome over brass hoops. I'm not sure the model of the butt plate, but it looks typical for this era. And then we have a screw knob style tone control or muffler knob. Now, I have not seen very many pictures of a Super Classic from an angle where you can see this knob. So I'm not sure what it's supposed to look like. I have seen another drum, what I believe to be a Super Classic, that has a baseball bat style. So again, I'm not sure what type of knob it should have on it. And for that matter, on this drum you have the flathead screw above it, and on the one that I saw with the baseball bat it had the screw below. So I'm not sure what the configuration should be either. This drum is 14 by 5.5 inches tall, and it is a silver sparkle wrap. So the best I can tell with all the features and hardware, looking through the early 1960s catalog, is it appears to be a Super Classic. If anyone else has any other information or sees it a different way, I would love to hear it. Please leave something in the comments. So the drum sounded fine when I bought it. I think I got a fairly reasonable price for it given the condition. Overall, most of it looked pretty good, but there was some damage on it that I wanted to repair. Now, a few things that will start off on this part of the drum: the bottom hoop where the snare beds are. So there's some denting on those. I'm not really worried about that. I'm not going to mess with it. Best I can tell, it's not really impacting anything. But where the issues are, if you look behind the throw off, and you'll see a little bit what looks like a crack in the wrap. Allegedly what had happened a couple owners previous is the drum was dropped on the throw off and kind of punched into the drum. So I'll be showing you the before pictures pretty soon here, but this throw off essentially punched into the drum. There was a little bit of a hole into that outer ply, and then on the inside of the drum it had busted out some of the plies there as well, and peeled some of that wood away. So that, and overall the drum interior just being pretty dirty, my intent was to clean that up. So I'll say here where my intent all along was. I wanted a wood drum. I'm partial to the old Ludwig drums, so this is what I wanted to do. I wanted it to be a player's drum, so my intent all along was to get this thing, repair it, and use it. I definitely had some people recommending, hey, just leave it alone. It's fine. It sounds fine. Plays fine. Keep it all as original as possible. And I contemplated that, but I decided, hey, I'm not collecting this thing. I want to play it, and I want it to look nice. So I went ahead and went for it. So now I'm going to show you a series of pictures that show what the interior damage looked like, and I'll go through what I did to repair those items. All right, so for the damage, the spoiler alert here is this is what the inside of the drum looked like behind the strainer. You can see where the strainer punched into the plies of the drum and shredded up and split some layers, and this was really the reason that I was very inspired to fix this the best I could. If you go back to the outside of the drum, what you see is a little bit of the wrap behind the strainer, and on the top end of it is starting to peel away. If you look behind it, it looked like there was some bit of a crack in the wrap behind that. It was hard to tell what exactly was going on. So when I removed the strainer, this is what it looked like on the exterior. The wrap peeled away a little bit more. There were various cracks. The cracking that you saw was actually in the underlayer of the wrap, the white piece of it, as you were seeing a little bit of separation from the clear part of the wrap that typically had the sparkle silver glitter attached to it, and then the under white part, the backing of the wrap there. And then you see that the wood was physically kind of punched out as well. And that's what I decided to get in there and do my best to fix that. So I removed the piece of wood and the piece of wrap to expose this hole here. I utilized some Titebond wood glue and I went through several different epoxies and clear glues that I was trying to help get this put back together. Utilize some silver glitter from your local craft store, which was only a couple bucks. And by the way, it was the exact same size and color of the silver glitter that was original. So that was good. And I did my best to piece this thing back together. Now, definitely not perfect. I wish I could have done this repair better and that it looked better. Once you piece it back together, you'll still see cracks on either side, most noticeably on the left side where that wrap is still lifting up. I elected not to put any more glue in there or mess with it anymore for fear of it fogging up or just doing more damage than I was doing good. It's close enough for me. I utilized some Novus plastic polish scratch remover to clean it up the best I could. And if you take a step back, here's what it looks like. I think overall it looks fairly clean. Again, if you look close, it's not the best, but I'm satisfied with the structural repair on it, and the cosmetics of it is what it is, and I'll just leave it at that. Now, when we flip back over onto the interior of the drum, you can see again where the wood was splitting apart and punched out, and overall not looking good, to include some lost pieces there. If you take a further zoom in, after I removed the throw off, you can see how some of the wood under there is shredded and expanded. And in that condition, I was unable to physically push it down and lay it flat. So I removed a few pieces of the wood. I used some Titebond wood glue to lay that down as flat as I could, clamped it down, and got it as flat as I could. I did probably a couple more cycles of that to fill some holes and get it filled out with the glue and structurally take care of it, increase the strength the best I could, where I transitioned to utilizing actual wood filler. Some other recommendations off some websites are to utilize DAP plastic wood. So I did several rounds of that, of filling it with some plastic wood, sanding it down, filling it again, probably at least 3 different times to get it as smooth as I could there. Sanded it all down. I used some water-based primer to do an interior primer coat all the way around, and then went on to repaint the interior. When you Google Ludwig Resicoat interior paint and how do you do that these days, now that the lead paint is gone, I elected to go with the Benjamin Moore AF25 paper mache, which is a version of a white. I did it in one of the small test cans, which limited me to the eggshell sheen. My intent was to use semi-gloss, which is what I've read as being more original. So I wasn't happy necessarily with the eggshell at first, but after putting, I did about 3 coats of it. It's very clean. It looks good to me, and overall I'm happy. And this is what what it looks like after that third coat. And then over when you look at after reinstallation of the throw off, if you look closely, you can still see how it's not necessarily perfect, but overall I'm very, very happy with the wood repair, how it looks. It looks much cleaner, and I really couldn't ask for a whole lot more out of that. Now, if you take a zoom out from there and look around you'll see the lug screws. And here's probably the area that if I had any regrets, or if I could do it all over again, I would clean those lug screws a little bit differently, if at all. So when I first pulled those off, they were very dirty. They had some rust on them. They looked like they had calcium or other buildups. It just didn't look very good to me. In hindsight, maybe they just looked old and original, and I should have left them alone. I was pretty inspired at this point of, hey, I'm going to use all these same parts. I just want to be clean and shiny again. So against my better judgment, and against the advice of some websites that I had found that said, don't use CLR, calcium lime rust remover, on your drum hardware parts, I went ahead and did it anyway. I figured, hey, I'm gonna clean these things up no matter what. What harm can it do? Well, do your research. CLR does not react well with zinc at all. I don't know if these were zinc coated to begin with. In hindsight, I think they probably were, or something similar. So after not long of a soak in CLR, it turned all of the lug screws a black color, some sort of a black coating, which I was able to clean off or buff off. Not easy, but they did clean up. But what was interesting to me is all 16 of those lug screws went in the same solution. 9 of them came out a little bit more of a shiny silver, as I had hoped, and 7 of them came out more of a copper color. So I don't know if originally they are different materials. I don't know if they're all original lug screws or not, but they, about half of them came out a silver color, half kind of a copper color. So that's not what I wanted. Hindsight 2020, do something different. Heed the warnings a little bit more. At the end of the day, I put these same things back on there. We'll see if they oxidize, or another 60 years goes by and maybe they'll look a little bit better. But and at the end of the day, if I need to replace them to resell, I'll go looking for some original screws. But overall, that's the one thing that I wish I would have done a little bit differently. But all said and done, I'm very happy with the drum. I look forward to playing it. I look forward to keeping it for a long time. I'm not going to play it for you here. I'm no drum expert, and certainly don't have this thing tuned up, and I'm not a YouTube performer on the drum. But I certainly have some goals to get this thing playing well. There's another Super Classic that's on YouTube, a blue sparkle one, that TJ there has sounding awesome, and I hope to make this thing sound that good someday. So that's all I've got. Thank you for your time. I hope this has been helpful in one way or another on what to do or what not to do if you find yourself in the position to do some repairs on your vintage Ludwig wood drum. Thank you.